The Roanoke Colony, America's first ghost town. Intro: imagine a brave new world, a land of promise across the vast untamed Atlantic. Now, picture a group of resilient English settlers venturing forth to establish the first permanent English colony in North America. They build homes, forge relationships with indigenous peoples, and face the harsh realities of a new frontier. Then, a ship returns from England, expecting to find a thriving community, only to discover it eerily abandoned. Every man, woman, and child vanished without a trace, leaving behind a single cryptic clue carved into a tree. This isn't a campfire tale. This is the chilling, unsolved enigma of the Roanoke Colony, America's original ghost town, where an entire community disappeared into the annals of history, becoming one of the most enduring mysteries of the New World. What dark fate befell these pioneers? Was it conflict, starvation, assimilation, or something far more sinister? Join Adventure Hidden as we journey back to the shores of North Carolina, sift through the historical records, and explore the perplexing theories surrounding the lost colony. Chapter 1. The Ambition and the Obstacles. Early English attempts. The story of the Roanoke Colony begins not with its disappearance, but with England's ambitious yet challenging efforts to stake a claim in the New World. Elizabethan England's drive. In the late 16th century, under Queen Elizabeth I, England was keen to challenge Spain's dominance in the Americas. Colonies offered new trade routes, resources, and a strategic foothold against rivals. Sir Walter Raleigh's vision. A charismatic courtier and explorer, Sir Walter Raleigh obtained a royal charter in 1584 to establish a colony in Virginia, vast undefined territory named after the Virgin Queen. His vision was grand, but the practicalities were daunting. The first attempts, 1585 to 1586, Raleigh dispatched an initial expedition in 1585, largely military in nature, led by Sir Richard Grenville and governed by Ralph Lane. They landed on Roanoke Island, off the coast of present-day North Carolina. Challenges. This first attempt faced immediate difficulties: strained relations with the local Algonquin-speaking Native Americans, particularly the Secretan and Roanoke tribes, dwindling supplies, and a focus on exploration and military objectives over self-sufficiency. Return to England. After a year of hardship and increasing hostility, the surviving colonists chose to return to England with Sir Francis Drake in 1586, abandoning the first settlement. This initial failure highlighted the immense challenges of sustaining a colony in a new, unfamiliar land. Lessons learned or not. The experience of the 1585 colony offered harsh lessons about the need for better planning, sustainable agriculture, and more harmonious relations with the indigenous population. These lessons, however, would prove tragically difficult to implement in the subsequent and ultimately doomed venture. Chapter 2. The Lost Colony of 1587. A new hope. Despite the previous setbacks, Sir Walter Raleigh remained determined. In 1587 he launched a new, more ambitious expedition, intended to be a true self-sustaining settlement, a civilian venture. This time, Raleigh shifted focus from a military outpost to a true civilian colony, comprised of families including women and children, a pioneering concept for English colonization. Governor John White. Raleigh appointed John White, an artist and cartographer who had been on the 1585 expedition, as governor. White was skilled and dedicated, but critically, he was also a grandfather, with his daughter Eleanor and granddaughter Virginia Dare, the first English child born in America. Among the colonists, the intention was to establish the colony further north, on the shores of the Chesapeake Bay, a more favorable location. However, for reasons still debated, the ship's pilot, Simon Fernandez, insisted on dropping the colonists off back at Roanoke Island in July 1587, citing dwindling supplies and the approaching hurricane season. Early struggles and White's return. The 117 colonists, 90 men, 17 women, and 11 children, quickly re-established the settlement. Initial interactions with local tribes were fraught due to past conflicts. Recognizing the dire need for supplies and reinforcements, Governor John White made the difficult decision to return to England, promising to return quickly. The fatal delay. White left Roanoke in August 1587, expecting to be back within a few months. However, geopolitical events intervened. Anglo-Spanish War. England was on the brink of war with Spain. In 1588, the formidable Spanish Armada threatened an invasion of England, leading to a complete embargo on all ships for any purpose other than defending the realm. Impossibility of return. White desperately tried to secure a ship, but it was impossible. All vessels were requisitioned for the war effort. The Spanish Armada was eventually defeated, but the delay had been catastrophic. John White would not be able to return to Roanoke for 3 long years. The fate of the colony now rested precariously on an uncertain future. Chapter 3. The Vanishing. The 1590 discovery. After an agonizing 3-year delay, Governor John White finally returned to Roanoke, only to be met with an eerie and haunting silence. White's return August 1590. White, aboard a privateering expedition which had its own objectives much to White's frustration, arrived at Roanoke Island on August 18, 1590, his granddaughter Virginia Dare's third birthday. The eerie silence. As the landing party approached the settlement, they found it deserted. There were no signs of life, no welcoming fires, no smoke. The houses and fortifications built by the colonists were gone, dismantled or vanished. The cryptic clues. White searched desperately for any sign of his family or the other colonists. He found two crucial clues: Croton carved into a palisade post. This was the first, most prominent clue. Croton was the name of a nearby island, now Hatteras Island, and the Native American tribe living there, with whom the English had established some relations. Crow carved into a tree. A second, abbreviated carving was found on a tree within the settlement site. The absence of a cross. Before his departure in 1587, White had instructed the colonists that if they were forced to leave the settlement, they should carve the name of their destination, and, critically, if they were in distress or under attack, they should carve a Maltese cross above the name. No cross was found. This suggested to White that the colonists had not been forced out by immediate attack, but had left voluntarily, presumably for Croton Island. The storm and abandonment of search. White intended to sail immediately for Croton Island to investigate. However, a massive hurricane erupted, scattering his ships and making further exploration impossible. With dwindling supplies and damaged ships, the expedition was forced to return to England, leaving the fate of the lost colonists tragically unknown. The silence of Roanoke had become America's first and most enduring unsolved mystery. Chapter 4: The Leading Theories. What happened? The disappearance of the Roanoke colony has spawned numerous theories over the centuries, each attempting to explain the fate of the 117 men, women, and children. 1. Assimilation with Native Americans, the most plausible. This is arguably the leading theory. Strongly supported by the Croton carving and the lack of a distress cross, it suggests the colonists, facing hardship and isolation, integrated with friendly Native American tribes, likely the Croton Hatteras people, or possibly other groups further inland. Evidence. Historical accounts from later expeditions like Jamestown mention rumors of white-skinned people living among various tribes. Recent archaeological finds like English artifacts at Native American sites further inland lend credence to this. The colonists would have traded their skills and technology for survival and protection. 2. Attack and massacre by Native Americans, a feared scenario. This theory posits that the colonists were attacked and killed by hostile tribes, perhaps the Powhatan Confederacy, who viewed them as encroaching on their territory. Counter evidence. The lack of a distress cross argues against a sudden, violent attack. Also, if there was a massacre, some evidence: bodies, scorched earth, widespread destruction might have remained. However, Native American oral traditions or accounts vary. 3. Starvation and disease. Harsh realities. Early colonial life was brutal. Many early settlements succumbed to famine and illness. The Roanoke colonists may have simply perished from lack of food, contaminated water, or unknown diseases, without leaving a trace. Counter-evidence. The organized dismantling of the settlement, suggesting planned departure, and the carvings argue against a slow, passive dying out. If they all died, who carved the clues? 4. Attempted return to England and lost at sea. Desperate measure. The colonists might have built a small boat or tried to sail back to England, only to be lost in the vast Atlantic. Counter-evidence. Building a seaworthy vessel capable of transatlantic travel would have been an immense undertaking without proper tools or expertise. Also, no debris or wrecks have ever been found. 5. Other speculative theories. Spanish intervention, less likely, but some theorize the Spanish, who were active in Florida, might have eliminated the colony. However, Spain was heavily focused on the Armada at the time. Supernatural, paranormal, popular culture sometimes drifts to more fantastical explanations, though entirely unsubstantiated, such as alien abduction or mysterious disappearances linked to a curse of the New World. The lack of definitive physical evidence means these theories remain debates, keeping the mystery alive and fueling ongoing research. Chapter 5: Unanswered Questions and Modern Discoveries. Despite centuries of speculation, the Roanoke mystery endures. However, modern archaeological techniques and renewed historical research continue to shed tantalizing new light on possible answers. The search for evidence. Over the years, countless expeditions have searched for traces of the lost colonists, both on Roanoke Island and in the surrounding mainland. Archaeological digs. Extensive archaeological work at Fort Raleigh National Historic Site on Roanoke Island has uncovered remnants of the original English presence, but nothing definitive regarding the fate of the 1587 colonists. Native American sites. More recently, archaeologists have focused on Native American village sites further inland from Roanoke. The Dare Stones. In the 1930s, a series of inscribed stones, purportedly written by Eleanor Dare, John White's daughter, claiming the colonists had moved inland and later died, were found. They were later largely dismissed as hoaxes, though a small minority of researchers still consider one or two possibly authentic. The Lost Colony play. The mystery has become so ingrained in American culture that it's immortalized in The Lost Colony, an outdoor symphonic drama performed annually on Roanoke Island since 1937, keeping the story alive for generations. Modern research and new clues. The Darlington Map clues. In 2012, researchers at the British Museum re-examined John White's own map of the region, the Virginia Pars map, and discovered two hidden patches. One covered a fort symbol, suggesting a planned fort further inland. The other covered a four-pointed star, interpreted as a symbol for a fort. This suggests the colonists may have planned to move inland from the start, or were instructed to do so if needed. Site X Metaquam Site. Archaeological digs at a Native American village site, nicknamed Site X near the Chowan River, about 50 miles inland from Roanoke, have uncovered 16th century English artifacts, pottery, a gun flintlock, a writing slate that match items known to be carried by the Roanoke colonists. This strongly supports the assimilation theory, suggesting some colonists moved inland and lived among Native Americans. DNA research. While no direct DNA links have been established, advancements in genetic tracing could potentially link descendants of local Native American tribes with European DNA, if relevant samples ever emerge from the period. While no smoking gun has been found, the weight of evidence increasingly points towards the colonists moving inland and integrating with friendly Native American tribes, losing their distinct English identity over generations. The exact details of their lives and eventual demise remain shrouded in the mists of time. Outro. On the windswept shores of Roanoke Island, a colonial dream became America's first and most haunting ghost story. The disappearance of the 117 men, women, and children of the Lost Colony continues to echo through history, a chilling reminder of the perils of early exploration and the mysteries that can swallow an entire community. While popular imagination may conjure images of supernatural forces, the most compelling evidence points to a desperate struggle for survival, culminating in an unknown integration with the indigenous peoples of this new world. The Roanoke Colony stands as a powerful symbol of ambition, resilience, and the enduring enigma of a vanished people, forever leaving us to ponder what happened to America's first pioneers. This has been Adventure Hidden, and we hope you continue to explore the mysteries that blur the lines of history.